guys, welcome to your grammar lesson. This class is online class. We're going to be working on questions. Your teacher will teach Aiden. So, what an indirect question? Okay, so first, let me jump to the next slide. Give me a minute. Okay, so indirect question. So, an indirect question is a question embedded. That word embedded means inside of something. Okay, so it's a question inside of a statement or a declarative sentence. For example, a statement, I am a teacher. Okay, that's a statement. Or another question, interrogative sentence, are you a teacher? And that's it. So that's the difference. Now, a direct question first, do you like cheese? So notice here, it is as an indirect question in a statement, okay? But if you want to make this into an indirect question, so it has to be like this. She asked whether I liked cheese. So notice how this part, we used like another expression, so to speak, to ask the same question. So the word whether could be replaced with if in this example. Now, most of the time we use if only to talk about when a condition is met. For example, if you study, you will pass your exam. So that's why we use if, okay? Most of the time we use if when we are talking about a specific condition. So now on these examples, so we have direct versus indirect questions. So for example, direct, we have WH questions. Remember, WH questions are where, what, when, how, why, for example. Now, direct question, where is Tondo Street? Okay. Now, indirect in a positive word order, this is positive. Remember, we can have positive or negative statements. So, can you tell me where Tondo Street is? Okay, notice how the verb to be changes all the way to the end, okay? Now, what time does the supermarket open? Indirect, do you know what time the supermarket opens? So, basically, on that one, well, on here, if you notice, we didn't use verb to be. But because here, on this one, we use does. On here, we only use do. Okay, so do you know what time the supermarket opens? Good. So how much do you earn? Could you tell me how much you earn? If you notice, it's the same question, but we have to use like another question inside of the original one. So what can we use? Could you tell me? Do you know? I'd like to know. I'd be interested to know, or may I ask? Basically, that's an indirect question, guys. It's going to make you sound more formal, okay? So on here, if you notice, all of these we have, it's a WH question. So these are not answered with yes or no. If you guys remember, the WH questions, they are going to ask for specific information, not only a yes or no answer. On the other hand, we have the yes, no questions. So in here, remember I was telling about if and whether and the positive word order. Are you living in London? That is a direct. If you want to make this into indirect question, I would like to know if you're living in London. If you guys notice in here, we don't use the question mark. Okay, we're going to be talking about that in a minute. So, does John like flying? Do you know whether John likes flying? So on here, we do have a question mark and we use whether instead of if. If you notice in here, I was telling you about the condition. I would like to know if you're living in London. Maybe here, let's imagine the condition was this person who this question was asked to. This person was only supposed to live in London if he got a new job. Okay, let's imagine it's just a condition. So if that person got the job, then most likely, yes, that person is living in London. So if we only use it, or most of the time it's used to talk about a condition, okay? If that condition is met, then most likely we're gonna have the if part. So now, next one, direct question again. Who is she or where can I sit? Indirect question. Do you know who she is? Notice how the verb to be again goes at the end. Now, can you tell me where I can sit? So on this, we have another inversion. We have the verb subject, so it changes. Subject, verb. Okay? I can. Good. He is asking who she is. On this one, remember, since this is a statement, you don't need a question mark. Okay? Statement. I'm a teacher. I'm not asking you. I'm telling you. Basically, that's a statement. And I wonder where I can sit. Okay? Basically, guys, that is all for the direct and indirect questions. Remember, how you can change this into indirect. If it's a WH question, we can use these expressions right here, all the way at the bottom. If you want to change a yes no question, you can use the same, but we will have to use if 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 we are meeting determined condition, or whether if it's only yes or no. Okay. Now, guys, on this video, we're also going to be talking about some vocabulary. The vocabulary, we're going to be focusing on computer memory. You guys remember like megabytes, gigabytes, RAM, all of that is basically computer memory. So the first word that we're going to be talking about, it's going to be an X number, or X number of megabytes of RAM memory, like 400 megabytes of RAM, or 200 megabytes of RAM. Okay, so basically that is going to be your storage. Okay, so for example, when you buy a cell phone or an iPhone, it has like, I don't know, 64 gigabytes or 124 gigabytes of storage. This is something similar. The RAM, as you guys know, the random access memory. Okay, so the bit size, what is this? A bit is a value of either 1 or 0. Basically, that's it. That's a bit. Okay, 1 or 0. It's like the smallest amount of data something can store, a bit. So be careful not to confuse with a byte. This is a bit. A bit is either 1 or 0. 1 byte is 8 bits. And from here we have like the chart. For example, 1 kilobyte equals to 1024 bytes. 1 megabyte to 1024 kilobytes. 1 gigabyte to 1024 megabytes, and so on. Okay, bits. The bits on here, like we have an example. When you buy a computer, the operating system could be either 32 or 64 bits. Okay, that's like the example for this word. The bus speed at a indeterminate megahertz. Megahertz, it's a frequency, okay, as you guys know. So the bus speed usually refers to the speed of the front side bus, which is part of the computer, which connects to the CPU to the NOR bridge. So FSB speeds can range from 66 megahertz to over 800 megahertz. So basically, that is your bus speed, okay? It's just a frequency, or exactly like this word says, the speed of the front side bus connects to the NOR bridge. Basically, that's it. So next one, we have what is called SIMs and DIMMs. SIMs, single inline memory module, and DIMMs, dual inline memory module. As you guys know, single means one, dual means two. Now, motherboard. Motherboard is like the main component of a computer. It's where you attach all of the other components, like the RAM memory and your fans and all of it, your video card. So that goes attached to the motherboard. Okay. Virtual memory, this basically your memoria virtual. Paging file. So here we have like a definition. This one's on Spanish, so you guys don't get confused. So it says, En sistemas operativos de computadoras, los sistemas de paginación de memoria dividen los programas en pequeñas partes o páginas. Del mismo modo, la memoria es dividida en trozos del mismo tamaño que las páginas, llamados marcos de página. So basically, a paging file, it's like another memory, we can say, that your computer is going to use when your RAM it's when you don't have any more RAM basically. Now, when you use all of your RAM, the paging file can it's going to in a way storage some data. Okay, and as we all know, a hard drive it's a disco duro. So now this is going to be the vocabulary that most likely you're going to encounter if you talk about computer memory. Now, next part of the vocabulary, we're going to be talking real quick about programming languages. Now, the programming languages that are most common, we have the C++, Java computer languages, which are these two. Now, this is, some people say C pound, people say C pound or C hash. Okay, so you could either decide on, you say C pound or C hash, but I've heard a lot of people refer to C hash. Okay, so that's it. So assembler and basic. So all of these, all of these right here are programming languages. Now, I don't, to be honest, I've never worked with this, so I couldn't tell you like the specific like details of each and every one. However, I do know that these are programming languages, okay? Each one of them has their pros and cons. So, besides this, we have a compiler. Now, these here are like functions or features of the programming languages. So, a compiler, it's a special program that processes statements written in a particular programming language and turns them into machine language or code that a computer's processor uses. So basically, this is going to take whatever your programming language, and it's going to change it. It's going to convert it into the machine code. Okay. The linker. In computer science, a linker is a computer program that takes one or more object files generated by a compiler and combines them into one executable program. So basically, if you have, like it says here, more than one object or file, I'm sorry, more than one file generated by your compiler, the linker, you guys remember what's a link? Something like a chain, like two things are going to do this. That is a link, basically. So your linker, it's going to take the object, the files that have been generated by the compiler, and it's going to merge them, it's going to combine them into one executable program. Basically, that's your linker. The machine code, it's the language into which all programs must be converted before they can be run. Now, here, run, remember, this is not the verb like, I don't know, a sport, an athlete. It's not like running, like you go to the street and you run. No, this is before they can be executed. Now, if we think like on any social network, for example, Facebook or Instagram or any other social network, those before they were an app, they were in code. Okay. Now, those they had to be converted in order for them to function. So basically, they had to be converted into a machine code. So basically, that's it. It's just to take all of your code and convert it into a specific language your machine is going to be able to read or to understand. It's just an expression. So basically, the CPU, we all know what that is, the central processing unit, and basically a multi-thread. So multi-threading is a Java feature that allows concurrent execution of two or more parts of program for maximum utilization of CPU. Each part of such program is called a thread. So let's imagine multi-thread is basically like multitasking, but for a programming language. For example, if we have a person who can, at the same time, if you can drive and you're talking on your phone, you are in a way, multi-threading. Okay, so it's the same like multitasking, but for computers. Okay, that's a multi-thread that can run or can execute more than one part of program at the same time. Okay, basically that's a multi-thread. So guys, basically this is going to be all for today's video. So you're going to have this, so please make sure you check it as many times as you need. And for the direct and indirect questions, if you have any questions, please refer to your teacher. I'm sure they will be more than happy to help you. Or if you have time, you can go on Google and do a little bit more research. Now, as I mentioned, this is just like the basic, okay? This is only the basic. This is what you guys are going to be using this quarter, basically. This topic, it's way more, I mean, it's we have a lot more information, but this is like the basic. This is what you need to know. If you want to research some more, definitely go ahead and do it. So thank you guys. Thank you for being with me, and see you later.